So, without further ado, we're going to bring on Miss Mary Taris, and she's the CEO of Strive Publishing, and it's based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which has been in the news a lot over the past year. But we want to hear about Strive Publishing and what her mission is and how she got started. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're
Thank you for being
welcome.
here.
My pleasure.
So tell us how you got started and what's your mission for at Strive Publishing.
Oh, okay. I think my whole life has been leading up to becoming a publisher, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
Yeah, being raised in North Minneapolis by a single mother, and not knowing my father's side of the family. I'm biracial. My mom is white, so she didn't know how to raise me and my brother, unfortunately. And her family cut her off because she was a white woman in the 60s with Black children.
Mm.
So I pretty much learned about myself identity in the streets or, through friends and things like that. But so I'm going to try to condense my life leading up to becoming a publisher. Starting from when I was little, I always loved to read. I just loved to read, and it was more of an escape for me. So, I mean, there could be chaos at home, but I would just be in my room reading a book and be like, I wish I was this person in this book or whatever. And I realized when I got older, that wasn't really good for me because what I really needed to be reading about was other people who were like me, so I could be inspired and learn more about my self identity and know that I could be somebody in this world. I always dreamed of becoming a teacher, but I never told anybody that, because I didn't see teachers who looked like me. People didn't encourage me in any kind of career path. And I had my first baby when I was in high school. I have 4 kids now. They're the blessings of my life. Um, but through it all, I just always was a book lover. And I started reading books written by Black people when I was about 25 because of, I worked for the county and there was a older sister there and she kind of took me under her wing. She's like, girl, you need to be reading these books. And she gave me the first book that really inspired me, and that was Terry
I
McMillan's
knew you were going to
Disappearing
say Terry McMillan. Yes. I mean, I
Act.
think she got
Yes,
everybody to start reading.
yes, yes. And
Disappearing
I couldn't
Acts, that
go.
one. Disappearing
Mhm.
Acts.
Yes,
That
disappearing
was
acts.
actually one of my favorites of hers. That one
My
Mhm.
wasn't as well known because Waiting to
Yeah,
Exhale really, made her
Yeah,
take
that's
off.
what I was watching. My first book for Terry McMillan was Waiting to Exhale, and I think the next one was Disappearing Acts.
Okay,
okay.
okay. Yeah, I really Disappearing Acts was really a good book. And the movie, I don't know if you saw the movie with Sanaa
I did.
Lathan that they did.
Mhm.
It didn't do the book justice.
No.
Um, for one, Wesley Snipes, you didn't imagine Wesley Snipes in that role of the guy. But anyway, I didn't like the movie, but the book was excellent. And her book Mama. I don't know if you already read
Yeah,
that
Mama
book.
was good.
Oh, I
Mama
haven't
was
read that
good.
one.
That
I'm gonna
was
have
a
to go back
good book.
to
To
that.
me,
Okay.
her earlier books were better, before
Mhm.
she became like totally commercial. Um,
Yes.
but that's interesting. So when you were reading as a child, and what kind of books were you reading then? With um,
Just read whatever I could get my hands on.
Yes.
Just fantasy. Oh, but let me back up and say when I got to high school and I discovered romance novels, oh, that was it. And that was a mess because it gave me a false idea of, what a man could be like for you, in your life. I was always looking for that. I used to say I had the Cinderella syndrome because I was always looking for that knight in shiny armor who was going to come and save me, from my tragic life. And that never happens, of
Do you
course.
think reading those books and believing in those stories kind of gets us in trouble a little bit?
I really believe that, looking back, it's like, I didn't know how to be in a relationship. My mom didn't, she wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have role models. So being really into romance novels at a young age was not good for me. I
Yeah.
I I can see that now. And I'm divorced twice now. I think it has something to do with that false, perception and just never learning how to be in a relationship. So, but it's interesting what books can do in your life. And so I feel like, you know, having spent so much time reading about other people's business and not being able to read about, what my life could be like was it really set me back. So I
Mhm.
always dreamed of being a teacher. And when I finally got into teaching, I was 40 years old. I had already had 4 kids by then. And when I got into teaching, I could not believe that there still weren't that many books about Black people. And
Mhm.
I had to, as a teacher, I'm like, I want these kids to not have to go through what I went through when I was a kid. And first of all, half of them don't like to read at all. And I think it's because they don't have books that they can relate to. So I'm
Right.
like
The book
spending
needs to
extra
be
time.
relatable. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I spent I taught for 15 years. Every single year, I had to go spend my hard earned money and my time trying to make sure we had enough books and resources that represent our children. Finally, I just got to the point where there was one situation where I was trying to get some money from administration so I could do this book project with the kids. And they said it was too much money. And could not believe it. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm like, y'all can't spend some money on our children, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I just, it was like the last straw for me. And I just said, you know what, I'm gonna do something about this. If I have to start my own business, and that's how it started generating. It's like, okay, we can publish our own books. That we can publish what books we want. Spend our money on what we want.
And what year was this?
That was in 2016 when I started working on my business. So I went back to school again. I had already been back to school to get my master's because teaching in the public school, I felt like I wasn't qualified even after being, newly graduated from college and get my teaching license. So I did go back and get my master's. And then after that, those about 13 years into teaching, I went back to school to take a course on entrepreneurship because I knew I'm just going to start my own business.
Okay.
And just took it from there. That was in 2016. Went through that program, graduated, and then I started studying the publishing industry more. I got involved with the Independent Book Publishers Association, went to a couple of their publishing universities, and um, I launched Strive Publishing in 2018, and I launched with a big gala. People thought I was crazy
I
because
think that's one thing that because uh, I had read about you a couple of years ago in an article because I get Google alerts anything having to do with African American books. So every
okay.
day I get an alert about books, and that's how I keep up with what's going on in the industry. And I did get one of the articles was about Strive Publishing, and that was a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
Well, um, you had called and ordered some of our t-shirts, and that's how I ended up speaking with her on the phone. But I had read about you and your big gala and all that in one of the alerts because it picks up local news from different sources. And so, or
Okay.
national news, anything having to do with African American books. So when you called and you said you were with Strive Publishing, that's why I immediately invited you to be on the show because I had already read about you 2 years before.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It just feels it feels like predestined that I was supposed to be on your show.
yeah, it is
Oh,
because
there you go.
it's important for people to know about different publishing houses and what they're doing, especially the independent publishers. So, do you? Because I can't remember. Do you focus on children's books?
That's how I started out, really focused on children's books because I really wanted to be able to get more books written by African Americans about African Americans into the hands of children. I wanted them to have that authentic voice, just stories from the community that kids can relate to. You can always find books about the civil rights movement and slavery for kids, but I mean, can a kid ever just sit down and enjoy a fun story about, people who are like them? So
Some
that
people
was my
they
main,
don't want to store it. They don't want to listen. They just want to store it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
how do you
it's
get
a
them
fun
to
story.
enjoy reading? Yeah,
Right.
that's how you get them to enjoy reading. So, yeah, at first the mission was to inspire children to read. And, along with that, as I got more involved in the publishing industry, I started getting submissions from people from all backgrounds, really. Once they're like, there's a local publisher, let me see if I can get published, I guess. But
Mhm.
the majority of the submissions were from Black women who wanted to be able to write their autobiographies or their memoirs. And it really came to light when George Floyd was murdered last May. I mean, I just really was inundated with inquiries and submissions, and people want to be able to share their story for the kids um, to uh, to not necessarily have lessons, but have role models, for the kids,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and for them to be inspired and to not give up hope, because things have been here in the Twin Cities really challenging in the
I'm
past year.
sure. I'm sure.
Yes. So I have been working in a fellowship program to turn Strive Publishing into a social enterprise and to focus more on developing stories from the community, stories to heal and to teach and to learn and to earn. Because I want, authors to be able to actually earn money. So that's the big thing that I'm working on right now. And we're starting to move into the adult genres now. We have one book coming out by a local community member who was he's considered a miracle by his doctors. He got a kidney transplant 20 years ago. He's celebrating his 20-year anniversary with his kidney this year. So
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he wrote a book to help people who are going through who are dealing with kidney disease, and he has like these 8 steps that he works, that keep him healthy, and so he wants to share that with the community. That's
Oh,
Well,
our first.
okay.
now how do you choose who you want to publish?
That's a good question. I try to give everybody a shot that I can, and when I started out, really when I started out, I had this idea that I would just start by writing my story about how I always dreamed of being a teacher. And I was going to start with a series, like my book would have been the first one, and I was going to call it I Can Be a Teacher, and for kids to see how a Black person got into teaching. And then people started hearing that I was starting this company, and then couple friends I hadn't heard from in many, many years, who I knew, like when they heard, they're like, oh yeah, remember I have this story, and I remember, yes, and I know she has a positive message for the kids, and so there were a couple like that for the children's books, and then people around the community started to get to know about Strive Publishing because I table at events a lot and I go to educational conferences. And so this one, I have to show you this one, Celebrating the Sisters.
Okay.
These
Now,
are,
what is that
they're,
a book for children?
it is for children, but it's for adults too, because
Okay.
this one I partnered with an organization. It's a nonprofit called Celebrating the Sisters. And what they do is they have an annual dinner celebrating the women who are making a difference in the Twin Cities.
Nice.
They celebrate and honor like 10 women each year, and they've been doing it for 12 years. I went when they had the 10th anniversary, and the women got up there. They were so inspirational. I was like, well, how come I don't know about these women? I've lived in the Twin Cities my whole life, and then as an educator, I started thinking, our kids need to know about these women. So it's a book of biographies of each one of the women. And there's a local artist, Capricia Ambers. She's a digital design artist, and then she wanted to become an illustrator. So this is her first illustration book, her first book that she illustrated.
Nice.
Okay. Very nice. So what do you have? How many books do you publish a year? Do you have like a goal, an average, or
I'm going to start setting goals. I'm going to tell you because it's, as you know, it's a long and expensive process to get a book
Mhm.
published, especially children's books. So the first year we had um, 2 picture books and one young adult novel. That was in 2019.
okay?
And then So this past year, we have one, two, three more, and then we have this one, Jaden's Impossible Garden. This is actually published by another local publisher in partnership with Strive Publishing because we do a annual writing contest, look,
Yeah.
searching for the next Black children's author.
Okay. Okay.
We started that in 2019. So this is the first one that got published from the writing contest.
Okay. That's a good idea. Good way to find talent and give people
Mhm.
recognition at the same time.
Mhm.
Yes, and another way to get somebody published because Free Spirit actually took them on and published the book.
Okay.
So that and because I don't have the capacity to publish that many books each year or the financing,
So you
So yeah,
consider your company kind of a launching pad for authors.
yeah, that's what I'm working toward. Like I said, I'm in this fellowship program, and now we're trying to turn Strive Publishing into Strive Community Publishing, and we want to start collecting stories from the community and finding different ways to share them out. It's
That's
not always going to be in published book form, and not everybody's a writer, by the way. So,
Right. It's true.
storytellers.
yep, storytellers. So
Yeah.
we have a new director of acquisition and community engagement, and she's going to be doing some events around the Twin Cities and workshops and things like that.
Are you only sticking with the Twin Cities or are you venturing out?
Um, I'm venturing out tonight. Yeah, I would love to grow, but growth takes a lot of capacity. I need to build my staff. I'm still building my team. The publishing industry it's a huge learning curve, and it's hard to get in. I heard you all talking with Miss Lucinda. No, was that her name?
Yes.
Lucinda asked you
Yes.
Yes.
about marketing. Oh, good Lord. She has some good tips.
She
But
went to different events, and
mhm,
you know, when you do launch a book, you need to have a marketing plan. A lot of
mhm,
people forget about that, or they don't even know about that. They just think, okay, I'm going to write this book, and everybody will
mhm,
love it because, after all, it's a great story, and everybody
right.
thinks their book is the best thing since sliced bread, and people should feel good about their
I
work.
heard,
And I'm an author of 12 books, and I have one coming out in June, a children's book. It'll be my first hardcover, and
wow.
then I thought about, uh, so this is me for this particular book project. I'm highlighting Black women who built their businesses from the ground up, and the name
Wow.
of the book is Boss Women: Seven
Okay.
African American Women Who Built Their Businesses from the Ground Up.
Love
And
that.
I had a illustrator that she's a Black woman. Actually, she's biracial as well. She did a really amazing job with the illustrations. Just one thing you have to work when you have a cover that has different people on it, and they're Black. We
Mm-hmm.
come in so many different shades, so you
Right.
have to get that coloring right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't work. But then after I finished that, then I said, you know what? I need to do a book for boys. I mean, even though this
Yeah.
book can be for anybody, but I need to do a book with that highlights men. So
Mm.
I don't have that one written. I just have a conceptualized a little bit because I this book won't be out till June. The one Boss Women will be out in June, but
Mhm.
it's
I love the name, by the way.
Yeah.
I meditate on names for books. I really like think about it, and I meditate because I don't want it to sound too cliche.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to sound dated. You have to take all those things into consideration when you do things, and you want it to be respectful, but you want it to be catchy. So, and it was my first time rhyming. It's my first time ever in my life writing a book with rhyming, and
Oh,
it's the whole
that's
book is
challenging.
poetry. Each
Okay.
is something for each individual. They have a 4-verse poem. There's a poem in the beginning to introduce the character, the book. the people. These are living people. So I didn't want to do people who were dead because I wanted to
Mhm.
be relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, and I didn't want to do Oprah and Kathy Hughes because
All
everybody
the
knows them. And
obvious ones, right?
yeah, they've
Mhm.
been done um, umpteen times. So
Mhm.
these are women that are not household names, but their businesses are very successful. It's
Mm.
kind of like what you were talking about with the event in Minneapolis. The women are doing things and you don't even know about them. You know,
Right.
it's like they're anonymous almost.
Mhm.
It's
And
the
the kids need to know about the women and men in the community who are doing
yes,
great things. They need to see those role models.
right.
Right.
And so,
Right.
yeah, just like you, I'm thinking about I need to do a celebrating the brothers now.
Yeah, because you need a counterpart. You need the complementary information, so it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like there are a lot of men in business that have done really well too, and I don't want to not all of them are obvious, but very 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 successful people, but their
Mm.
names aren't necessarily household names. So
Right.
I'm actually
um
glad you're having this conversation because one of the questions that came in was, do you publish Black History books? So I think that this conversation was kind of right on time.
Mm-hmm. If the right manuscript comes along, I would love to publish Black History books. But one thing that I want to be, sensitive about is our kids are always seeing Black history like from way back. It's like it's not relatable to them. So I want to, if I'm going to do history books, I want to do more current
Yeah.
people in history, people who are doing something right now, just like
right.
what's celebrating the
Make
sisters,
it seem attainable because sometimes
Mhm,
when we only focus, I believe, on people of the past, then
mhm,
we make it seem like everything's already been done. You
right.
can't do it. But when we talk about people who've done it right here and now, I
Hmm.
think that that helps people and it actually encourages young people to maybe
I
want
think
to do
so.
more.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then a lot of the history that's highlighted, it's the same it's the same people.
Hmm.
Black History Month, they have the same people every
Yeah.
year. It's like,
You
okay,
know who it's gonna be.
I know there were some other people,
Right.
Arts.
but it's only, and this, we've discussed this on the show before too. It's like slavery happened and then the civil rights movement and everything
That's it.
between the 100 years in between. It's like nothing. It's like,
Right, right.
how do we get from there to 1965? How did we get from
Right.
1865 to 1965? What happened in between that allowed us to get there, to get that far? And
Mhm,
then, um, what have we done since then that's notable, relatable, that people can identify with, you know? Um,
right.
because a lot of times it seems like sometimes young people act like everything just started 10 years ago or whatever. It's like nothing they're here, and if it didn't happen in the last 5 or 10 years, it's not real or it's not
Yeah.
important. And it's a whole lot had to happen for us to be where we are now, wherever that is. And I mean,
Mm.
we can have a discussion. I don't mean us, but I mean, one, we could say, where are we? That could be like a rhetorical question. But we got from a horrible, horrible circumstance to where we are now, where we can do things. And that
Mm.
doesn't mean that everything's perfect, but we can make plans, and we can have a plan of action and execute it like you did with Stride Publishing. So
Right.
Absolutely.
Now we
Yeah.
only have about four
4
minutes left,
minutes.
and
Oh,
I did notice. First of all, I noticed the degree behind you that says North Central University. I also went to North Central University. That's
okay.
where I got my doctorate. So we're sisters.
Hey.
But what I did want to ask you is, I know we always have a number of established as well as upcoming authors and aspiring authors in the audience.
Hmm.
And what can one of those authors do if they want to publish with Strive Publishing?
They can go to our website, www.strivepublishing.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we have just updated our website to be more user-friendly for authors. So when you go to the website, find the yellow tab or find the tab that says publish a book, and you can complete a questionnaire and even download your manuscript there. We're working on some videos that would help authors because we have done some, we've backed up and done some research and interviews and surveys with authors to find out, what their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this series of videos that we're working on that will help to encourage and support emerging authors. Let's say you have a story idea, but you just don't know where to start. Well, check out a video. They're going to be free on the website. Um, and hopefully that will encourage people to at least try. I mean, it can't hurt to submit your work, but I also understand how sensitive that is because sometimes, especially for us, because we don't have all the opportunities that other people have,
Right.
we've been holding on to that story for years. I hear from authors all the time who say, I wrote this book 20 years ago, or I, been working on this idea for 10, 20, 30 years and just
Sometimes they're
never,
afraid of putting themselves out there.
yeah, right. Yeah, so we want to make it a process that's encouraging and not scary.
Yes, yes.
Well, you can
Well,
have like Strive University. A lot of
Hey,
people have
that,
that
that
model.
sounds good.
Yeah,
Strive you, here we go.
yeah.
yeah, I like
So,
it.
Thank
so
you.
at the end of the process, because people should be willing to pay for information, tutorials, coaching, or whatever. And then at the end of the process, you can have some sort of benefit. I'm just throwing out ideas, but if you're
Mm,
already providing the information, it's when you have a business, it's important to monetize things because
that's right.
you can't, nothing is free. And I had drilled that into my daughter from a small child.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is free. So
You
um
can't trick some people.
you
That's true.
can't, somebody has to be, and if it's professional, you need to pay the person the professional rate and expect to, because time is money, and they've paid the cost to be the boss, so to speak. And it could be their education, time, and investment in money, losing money. A lot of people have been through all kinds of things to reach their goals and whatever they are. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you can't just expect people to just give you information for free. They might give you a tip or two, but I think it's disrespectful when you try to pick people's brains and then don't want to pay them. And
You don't
that's
even
okay.
take them to lunch.
Yeah,
Something.
that's for people out there who may want to call me and pick my brain, because people
Mm-hmm.
do that. They call me and want to pick my brain. I can't sit on the phone with you for half an hour giving you
Right.
the facts of life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
just can't. I mean, it's can't. It's disrespectful. Just anyway, that's my soapbox for today. Anyway, Strive Publishing and future to be announced soon. Strive University,
Yeah.
um, Mary Taris, and we just so appreciate having you on the show and hearing about your experience. It was very, very um, heartwarming, just informative,
Mm.
and you just never know what people have been through to
Right.
get to the point where they are.
Mm-hmm.
You just, everybody has a story to tell. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much, and much
Um,
success with Stride Publishing and everything
thank
you're doing
you.
with your books.
Thank you. It was
We'll get there.
really a
Keep
pleasure to
going.
be here and to talk with you.
Okay, take care. Hope to see you soon.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thanks. You too. Bye for now.
Bye
Bye.
bye.